They fired him because they thought he was too old. But what they didn't know was that he had a plan. A quiet storm. And by the time they found out, it was already too late. This is the story of Harold Bennett, a man tossed aside by greed. And how he returned with a vengeance that no one saw coming. Harold Bennett was 62 years old and had worked at Stonebridge Electronics, a mid-sized manufacturing company in Ohio, for nearly 3 decades. He wasn't just an employee. He was the employee, first one in, last one out. Everyone knew a Mr. B, the kind, sharp-witted man who trained 3 generations of workers. But over the years, the office began to change. The suits upstairs started wearing tighter ties and looser morals. Words like restructuring, optimization, and agility echoed through the halls. And then came Travis Lang, a 35-year-old regional director with perfect teeth and a brutal hunger for profit. He saw Harold not as an asset, but as a number to be erased. Harold noticed the signs. His emails were ignored. His meetings were cancelled. His responsibilities reassigned to younger, less experienced staff. One Friday morning, HR called him in. "It's nothing personal," Travis said, avoiding Harold's eyes. "You've been a loyal worker, but we're going in a different direction." Just like that, 30 years gone. No farewell. No handshake. Just a cardboard box and security escorting him to the parking lot in the pouring rain. Harold sat in his small one-bedroom apartment that night, staring at the box of his work memories. Pictures with coworkers. Old certificates. A coffee mug that read, "Best mentor ever." He called his daughter, Lisa, a junior attorney in Chicago. "They let me go," he said quietly. There was silence on the line. "I'll be fine, sweetie," he added. "I'm not mad. Just tired." But he wasn't fine. Harold fell into a deep depression. Bills piled up. His savings, meant for retirement, dwindled. And yet, through it all, he kept one habit: every morning at 6 a.m., he still got up and dressed for work, suit, tie, polished shoes. He'd sit at his kitchen table with coffee and read business journals. One morning, an article caught his eye: Stonebridge Electronics in debt crisis, facing possible buyout. His hands trembled. Harold knew every inch of Stonebridge, its clients, its flaws, its hidden assets. He had seen mismanagement long before anyone else noticed. And now, the vultures were circling. But Harold wasn't a vulture. He was a silent eagle, watching, waiting. He dusted off his old contacts. Reached out to former clients. Then quietly reconnected with Martin Chan, a retired investment partner and old friend. "I've got an idea," Harold said. "But I need help making it real." Together, they formed a small investment group. Quiet. Silent. Invisible. Martin arranged introductions to private equity circles. Lisa, his daughter, helped draft legal filings. 2 months later, their group made a move through a shell corporation named HB Holdings LLC. Stonebridge, desperate and bleeding money, was willing to sell. They never asked who was behind the offer. They just wanted out. In 6 months, the deal closed. Harold Bennett had just become the new majority owner of Stonebridge Electronics. The employees heard rumors, new leadership, new policies. But nothing was confirmed. Then one Monday morning, the board and senior management were summoned to the conference room. They walked in laughing. And then the door opened. Harold Bennett stepped in, dressed in a sharp navy suit, holding a leather briefcase. The room went silent. Travis Lang turned white. "What the hell is this?" he asked. Harold sat at the head of the table. "As of this morning," he said calmly, "I am the new majority shareholder and CEO of Stonebridge Electronics." Whispers. Stares. Jaws dropping. "And Travis," he continued, his voice steely but calm, "you're fired. Effective immediately." Security escorted Travis out, the same way they had done to Harold. Karma, as they say, had clocked in. Harold didn't come back for revenge. He came back for restoration. But that didn't mean he was going easy. He replaced the corrupt board members, fired the bloated executive team that had siphoned off employee benefits and pensions. He rehired loyal employees who had been let go, brought back integrity, fairness, and transparency. He doubled employee profit sharing, opened educational scholarships for the children of long-term staff. And he visited the factory floor every week, just like the old days. The workers wept. Some said it felt like home again. But not everyone was happy. An anonymous tip was sent to a local investigative journalist, new owner of Stonebridge involved in shady buyout deal. Conflict of interest? The journalist dug in. She found out that HB Holdings LLC had ties to former employees, one being the same man fired only a year before. The headline read, "Fired for being old, now he owns the company." It went viral. Harold was invited to speak on national news. When asked if he bought the company out of spite, he replied, "No. I bought it out of necessity. This place meant something to me. They tried to bury me, but didn't know I was a seed." 1 year later, Stonebridge Electronics was thriving. Harold didn't stay CEO forever. He stepped down after a year, handing over the reins to a promising young woman he had mentored internally. Before he left, he made one final change. He instituted a policy against age discrimination, enforced through third-party review, and named it the Lang Clause, a subtle nod to the man who once fired him. As for Travis, he tried suing, but the legal team, headed by Lisa, shut him down fast. He now works as a middle manager at a startup, under someone half his age. Harold, now 64, spends his days consulting, mentoring young professionals, and sipping coffee at his favorite diner. Every time he passes the Stonebridge building, he smiles. Because sometimes the best revenge is becoming the boss they thought you could never be. They said he was too old, too slow, too outdated. But what they didn't know was that experience doesn't age, it evolves. And sometimes, those they cast aside come back to take the seat at the head of the table.